House of the Dragon. Showrunners reimagined some characters as black because they didn't want to have another bunch of white people on the screen. I love the casual racism. I love how upfront they are with it. Back in 2014, they would never have the audacity to say something like this public. During the Obama administration, they would never have the audacity to say something like this public. And even today, imagine if you replace white with Jewish, which is just a subsection of white people, right? Oh my God, oh, well, all of a sudden it would be a problem. You know what I'm going to help them? I decided that I want these people to be as virtuous as they claim. So, if they don't want a bunch of white people on the screen, I assume that they don't want a bunch of white people behind the screen. So I will not watch the show. By not watching the show, me as a white person, it increases the diversity of their audience. This is my gift to the showrunners. This is what I'm going to do for you, showrunners, because I care just as much as you. So by not watching, you're going to have a much more diverse audience. I mean, look at this. House of the Dragon is the first of many planned HBO Thrones prequel series because they lack creativity. All of these people, by the way, that pull this shit, they lack creativity. They just latch on to things that are famous and then they destroy them. As we've seen with Game of Thrones. The moment they ran out of material, I think it was about season 6, the entire show went downhill. In a new interview, co-showrunner Ryan Condal, that doesn't sound like a very diverse name, Ryan. Like, if you want to champion diversity, why don't you step back? Why don't you let a empowered black woman to take the lead? How many black women are there making movies, huh? Why don't you give your spot to someone else, Ryan? He explained that this reimagining, I love the word, reimagining, like, is it just me or only ideologically possessed identitarian left people are reimagining things? Why can't you, I don't know, just imagine? Why can't you just imagine something new? Why do you have to reimagine something that exists? Why can't you just imagine a new thing? He and Miguel made to the original books. It was very important for Miguel and I to create a show that was not another bunch of white people on the screen. We want to find a way to put diversity in the show, but we didn't want to do it in a way that felt like it was an afterthought. I don't think anyone would have complained if you had Morgan Freeman as an actor, and it made sense from the movie perspective. But what I am complaining is the reasoning, right? Like, it's not because of any story elements. It's not because of anything else. No, you just want less white people. Why are you against Jewish people? Again, it's a subsection of white people. Why do you, like, if a Jewish person comes and wants a role, you'd be like, no, we got enough Jewish people. We need to hire someone else. Why is it? Why are you being anti-Semitic? House Velaryon features proeminently in the political drama at the core of House of Dragon, which will tell the story of the House Targaryen fall from prominence after a civil war that left the family decimated about 200 years prior to Daenerys Targaryen rise to power many generations later. The Valyrian family came to Westeros even before the Targaryens. They're claimed by Corlys Velaryon and Rhaenys Targaryen for HBO's adaptation, and they wanted to cast all of them as black conquerors who came to Westeros from the west. Well, you see, this is the problem with your diversity, because it's about representation. So representation means that you would think, as the writer, that black people are oppressors, that they're conquerors. You can't do this. Like, you're not allowed. This is why, you say you thought about the idea, you would never manage to get with it, because Twitter would cancel you. There would be people on Twitter that would be angry of your representation. So when you have to represent, it can only be positive characteristics. Like, this is why you don't see in any TV show the drunken, deadbeat gay person. Right? Like, you can see the drunken deadbeat husband, but you can never see the drunken deadbeat gay, because that would cause an outrage on Twitter. When you cater to these people that are on Twitter, you chain yourself when it comes to creativity. Like, you're not allowed to be creative. Like, the moment you have a diverse character, it needs to be a positive character. In fact, I remember when they announced the Powerpuff Girls and then the script leaked, they said that any Powerpuff Girl can be played by any ethnicity. So Buttercup could have been any ethnicity, Blossom could have been any ethnicity. The only person that was a fixed ethnicity was Mojo Jojo's son. And he was white. Because if you casted Mojo Jojo's son as Asian, then you'd have had a problem, right? Because, why? Are you saying that Asian people are evil, like they're doing bad things? Like, if you casted him as black, it's like, oh my god, like Mojo Jojo in the cartoons, do you not know what he was? So this is how the American progressive think. And this is why they cannot create good art. Meanwhile, Japan creates good art. South Korea creates good art. Even the United States creates good art when it doesn't cater to Twitter. Like, Game of Thrones, the first seasons were amazing, and then Twitter went and said, oh, but there's boobies on it. Oh my god, rape culture. Oh my, oh, there's not enough powerful women. And then you see what happened with season 8, season 7. That's what happens when you cater to these people. Like, the ratings drop. You can see it mathematically. But anyway, like, this is what they complain about. The lack of diversity, both on screen and behind the scenes. Hopefully, there's going to be more diversity in front of the television right now as people are tuning out. Again, like, why would you want to watch a show that has the actors which outright considers you to be a problem? Like, they consider too much a bunch of white people in the same place as a problem. You're the audience. Why do you want them, the showrunners, not to be able to sleep at night? Allow them to have diversity in front of the screens. I mean, this is something that should happen. And they're complaining that the few non-white characters in the show were Missandei, Grey Worm, and both of whom were enslaved in Essos before Daenerys freed them. The show faced criticism for not including more people of color. So, I just want you to know that the show had sense. Like, it had immersion. It's a medieval society. Westeros was the equivalent of Europe. Essos was the equivalent of the Middle East and Africa. Okay? So, I know this is mind-boggling for progressives who live in California and do not understand neither history nor geography. But back in the Middle Times, people didn't travel that often. I mean, taking a boat from one continent to another, first of all, it was uncertain you would even make the journey because storms and stuff. But secondly, it took months. Like, it could take up to 6 months for a person to go from one place to another if they even made it. They didn't have planes, okay? Like, their ESG scores were very high. They weren't capable of flying planes. So because of that, migration from one continent to another was exceedingly rare. This is why the Dothraki, for example, weren't able to cross the Great Sea, because it was something very difficult to accomplish. Naruhodo? But I guess, like, all of this doesn't matter, okay? Immersion doesn't matter. Storytelling doesn't matter. What matters is ideology, like progressive California baked ideology stuffed down your throat with a little dose of American imperialism. I mean, as Peter Dinklage said in an interview where people were complaining about the ending of Game of Thrones, the people who invested a lot of time into watching this, the people who bought merchandise, the people who literally made Peter Dinklage rich. Peter told them, it's like, oh, it's just a show about dragons. Why do you care? Oh, but so if it's just a show about dragons, why do you care about diversity? And again, I like diversity, okay? Like, I like anime. It's made only by Japanese people, not a single white person there. I like manga for the same reason. I like South Korean movies. I even like Chinese movies when I grew up. I love the ones with kung fu and ninjas and shit. I thought they were great. Okay? I am sick and tired of American, California, type of culture where entertainment comes second, and all you care about is the percentage and the genetics of the actors that you're hiring. I'm surprised you haven't invented a time machine, California, yeah? So you can bring some Nazis from the past so they can measure the skulls and make sure that you have the adequate actors that are employed. Holy shit. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.